the Samsung microphone. Wow, it is way too hot. Mm-mm. That's not good. Dun, 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 did you make a mess of me? Let's see. Ta-da, dun. Do I need to share stream with? Let me check. Check the stream. Stream likes. No, one person, two people, two people. Yeah, it's too early. So most of the viewers don't actually see that. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I should probably put things on schedule so people actually get a notice. Like, oh, hey, we're on. All right. Okay, so honestly speaking, I think the camera looks okay, but it's still a little bit too far out. Let me check contrast. Exposure, can put exposure to 6. Exposure to 6 seems a little bit dark. What happens if we zoom in a little bit? Up, up, up. And then we pan to the left. That's better. If I leave exposure on 6, it might be too dark. So let's put exposure on 5. But on 5, it looks a little grainy. Gonna have to get a new camera. Good morning, 早上好，朋友们。今天我们在说 motivation 的事情。Sorry, I don't know how to say motivation in Mandarin. But let's get started. Let's get trucking. All right, let me drop my chat box up here. Let's see. Delete these old. These old chats. Can we get a new one? Yes. Okay. One moment, guys. Motivation. All right, let's see what we get. Hopefully, we get something good. Man, I've been outside for like 20 minutes. Maybe not even 20 minutes. I've been outside for about, 20 minutes. And I'm like, I'm sweaty. It doesn't make sense. It's just too hot. It's just way too hot. Oh, man. Maybe I just shouldn't go outside anymore. It's not worth it. I feel like a chicken in an oven. Like, I understand if I was like a bigger dude, like a very large guy with a lot of weight, then, you tend to overheat really quickly. But I'm really slim. I'm very slim and tall. So the heat would, disperse. But even like that, it's super, super hot. Ugh, terrible. Terrible. Good morning. I don't know how to say your name. I need to learn how to say these names better. It looks like Da, but it has a ko on the top. So I don't know what character that is. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Let's go into the Pleco. Let's go into the writing. Okay, so we have this, and then we have this. Is it this one? Yes. More like a tian, colon tian. What is that? Woo. Oh, okay. So it's like woo, and then woo, and then that's really long. A yue in the bottom. Okay. Wu Qing Qing. Ah, hello, Kelly. Good morning, Kelly. Is Wu Qing Qing? Is that correct? Good morning, Liu Liu. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having an amazing morning. Glad to see there are some people coming back from the last few days already. That makes me super happy. And it also motivates me to continue to do this. Good morning, Anna. It motivates me to continue to do this kind of thing, to see that people come back. You know what I mean? Because if people don't come back, then what is the point? That means there's no interest. But obviously, if people come back, even in the morning, then there must be an interest. At least that's how I, figured. So speaking of motivation, today we're going to be speaking about finding motivation. I think this is an important thing to talk about, finding motivation, especially today, because it is Saturday morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we are still at work. I understand. I'm just messing around. But, yes, it is a makeup day for the holiday coming in. Yeah, we know that. But it sucks. Do you guys agree? I understand. All right, so you get 3 days off and all. That's amazing. But you still have to do a makeup day. So it almost doesn't make sense. It's like, is the holiday even worth it if we have to make up the day for the holiday? Come on, man. That's not cool. That's not how things should be done. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is until further notice. Oh, well. But it's still Saturday. So at least for most of us, it's the end of the week. And you can relax a little bit. So that's cool. So what I need to do, well, you guys know, I obviously don't do a normal job. But what I need to do is work on moving a lot of stuff today, because today we are renovating one of our offices and we need to move all of our stuff. It's really inconvenient, kind of annoying, but I do hope it's worth it. Like at the end of the renovation, we have a brand new office and everything's really clean and new and nice. Let's see. Let's see. It should be worth it. The only annoying part is moving everything, because now we got to take everything from the top floor and put it down in one of the lower, emptier floors. And then once the renovation is done on the top floor, we have to take the things from the lower floor and put it on the newly renovated floor. So, it's just a lot of bouncing up and down, unfortunately. Good morning, Jordana. Fancy meeting you here in the morning. Yeah. But that's all that's going on. So I just got to work on moving a lot of things from my office so that they can start doing the renovation. And just in case, folks, if you don't know what a renovation is, it just means 装修, right? 所以这个月有人来装修一下我们的办公室，所以我们是要带很多事情，很重的事情带楼下。Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, happy new semester. All right. So let's get trucking. And, as per usual, I will be discussing the topic just off of the top of my head first before we get to the talking points. Now, today's topic is, of course, finding motivation, but I do want to not just talk about finding motivation, but also understanding or trying to understand what motivation is. Have a great day, Jordania. Bye-bye. Um, so not just finding motivation, but also understanding what motivation is. I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you guys might have someone in your life. It could be one of your relatives. It could be someone at work that you see works really hard, is super motivated all the time, has energy all the time, is always doing something. That's usually me. But I'm sure you know someone in your personal life. And sometimes it makes you wonder, like, why are you so motivated? What drives this person to work so hard? What drives this person that keeps them active so long and so often, right? So hopefully today we are able to discuss and unpack where that motivation comes from. So we're at 36 continuous viewers online right now, so we can do a little quick introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Comet. Welcome to the Comet Live podcast / live stream. We are doing full audio on WeChat only. So audio is only what we do on WeChat, and on another platform, on our Western platform, we are doing audio and video. So if anybody actually wants to see the podcast or see the live stream, you're able to do it on a separate platform. I focus on talking about personal development, business development, serial entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. Just giving you guys a little bit of background. All right, so let's get to it. So for me, off the top of my head, yeah, is that Liu Wei? That's Liu Wei, right? It's like first is to live, then for a better life. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. It's Liu Wei, right? So Liu Wei says first is to live. That is Liu Wei's motivation, and then it is for a better life. I definitely agree with this. I would say this is the core of the argument. This is the core of the discussion. What is motivation? What drives most people? Number one is survival. To survive. Survive, to survive. Survival is the most important thing for most humans. Most humans. Good morning, Mr. Maha. Survival is the most important for most humans, for most people, right? Thank you very much, Liu Wei. And this tends to drive most of us. When you are in a critical situation where something is seen as dangerous, for example, you will instinctively go into what we call fight or flight mode, right? Where it's either you are going to fight to survive with all you have, you don't think about it, you just do it, or you run, and you run as fast as you can to try to survive. So instinct is the first, I would say, not instinct, I'm sorry. Survival is like the first layer of motivation, of what drives people to do something, right? Or not to do something. It would just be for the purpose of surviving, and then follow that up with what Liu Wei said, a better life, I hope. So very good observation. Very good. Thank you for that, buddy. So the way that I look at motivation is that there are at least two different forms. There's at least two different ways that we can address motivation, broadly speaking. One is intrinsic. So intrinsic as in internal. There's a motivation inside of you. Okay? And the second would be extrinsic. Okay, extrinsic is just something that is on the outside that is motivating you to do something or to behave a certain way. Okay, so let's see if we can get into that a little bit. So intrinsically, let's say you work really hard doing a job that you don't like, and you work very long hours, and you really want to quit your job, but your job also pays you very well. There must be an intrinsic motivation, something inside of you that is pushing you to try to earn as much money as possible. It can be many things. Maybe when you were younger, you may have had an experience where you and your family did not have much money, and did not have much to survive on. And that sort of makes an imprint in your brain, in your mind, that says like, you need to have money, you need to have money, work hard, get more money, right? It's almost like fear driven, for lack of a better word. I don't really want to say fear, but just at this moment, I can't think of another word. But it's almost as if it's fear driven, that it's like, I am afraid to end up how I was before when I was a child or when I was growing up and with my family. I need to have money. I need to do better. And so this experience, this imprint creates an internal motivation. You have a motivation inside of you to work as hard as you can or make as much money as you can, do whatever is possible. Now, the reason I say that is because, of course, I've used myself as an example. For anyone who actually follows me in my live streams, you would have some familiarity with my background and understand like this is a very important internal motivation. The other thing is you can have some other internal motivation, something else that is intrinsic, usually in the form of goals, right? If there is a big goal that you're trying to accomplish, and that particular goal requires you to work this job or requires you to make a certain amount of money, then that can also be a driving factor. That can be something that pushes you to work harder and to try to make as much money as possible because you want to be able to reach this goal that you have made for yourself. Even if you didn't have a difficult childhood, even if you didn't grow up poor or anything like that, you can still have an internal motivation or an internal drive that pushes you to try to make as much money as possible. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a blend here, but let me try to do external motivation first. So even though I just explained that this is internal motivation, right? Going into external sometimes is not all that different. So here's the thing. I just gave the example. If you grew up poor and you didn't have much money, much resources, neither did your family, you may have an internal motivation to make as much money as possible, right? Does this make sense to you guys? Let me know. However, external motivation, this is off the top of my head, guys, okay? So bear with me. External motivation. Let's say you decided to buy a house. You decided to buy a house, and like most people, you got a mortgage. So maybe you owe $100,000, $200,000 or something like that on your home because you got a mortgage from the bank. So tell me, what happens when you don't pay your mortgage? Think about it. What happens when you don't pay your mortgage, guys? All right. So, when you don't pay your mortgage, you have something that is known as a foreclosure. This one's a little big, so let's spell it out. Foreclosure. 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 And what happens with the foreclosure, of course, is that because you missed your payments and you're not able to keep up with your side of the deal in terms of the loan contract, the mortgage, the house can be repossessed by the bank that lent you the money. Okay? Under these circumstances, when you have a mortgage to pay and you are dependent on your salary that you get from your job, then in this situation, your motivation becomes extrinsic. You have an external motive. The external motive is that there are outside factors, there are things outside of you that are happening that motivate you or push you to keep working that job or keep doing the thing that you are doing to make money so that you can pay your mortgage, so that you can keep your home. But with this example, the example becomes twofold. Yes, the house, the mortgage the bank foreclosure, those things are extrinsic. Those things are external motivators. But it can also be an internal motivator, intrinsic motivator. Because just like the first example that I gave, if you have an internal fear of loss or an internal fear of lack or poverty and things like this, then that motivator is intrinsic. That motivation is inside of you, especially if you don't have like a family member or someone else who has a house that was willing to take you in, right? So this is what we mean when we have like the external motivation and the internal motivation. Sometimes they do become a blend of the two. But of course, it doesn't all have to be negative, right? You can have positive external motivation, where it's like some people, they just really want to have a fancy car, right? They already have a house, they have enough money to buy what they need, the food and taking care of themselves and their family, but they're like, I really want that nice fancy car. I think it makes me look really cool or whatever. And they work really hard just to collect money to buy themselves a Benz or a BMW or whatever, whatever vehicle they think is going to make them feel better about themselves. But that in itself is, of course, an external motivator because it's an outside factor that is like, hey, this outside object is what's motivating me to work and get this money. But the internal motivation, you have an internal motivation that you believe having that car is going to give you a certain status. It's going to make you look good. It's going to make you look sophisticated, or it's going to make you look rich, so on and so forth. So these are all, in my opinion, internal motivators. Those are things that are affecting your confidence. They're affecting your self-esteem. And those internal motivators are very powerful. I would argue that internal motivators are much stronger than external motivators in many ways. So I want to package all these things about motivation, and I want to look at it from a different angle. Okay, we have talked about internal, external motivation just now, and we touched on what motivates another person. When you observe someone who is highly motivated, super hardworking, what is it that motivates them, right? But we need to remember that we need to be cautious. And I will explain to you right now. Let me go over this comment. So Liu Wei says, someone has a goal to perform, self-value, great career, change the world, help others, etc. Good examples. Thanks for that, Liu Wei. There is a possibility that people will use your motivation to manipulate you. There's also the possibility that you can use the motivation of others to manipulate them. And I like to talk about this stuff. I really like to talk about this stuff because I'm sure that at some point in your life, I'm talking to you, the person listening right now. At some point in your life, someone used your motivation and the things that drive you. Someone used these things to control you. Someone used those factors to manipulate you. So it could have been a boss. It could have been a colleague. It could have been your parents. It could have been a girlfriend, a boyfriend, so on and so forth. But I am sure someone in your life at some point has used your motivation against you. They have used your motivation to manipulate you. And so, you know me, I'm all about positivity, right? And becoming better. But becoming better is also about awareness. It's also understanding that these things are possible, and just to be aware and be conscious of it and make sure that, it doesn't happen to you. So let's look at this. If you understand that someone has a specific motivation, that they are afraid of being poor, or maybe they have a family and they have children to take care of, so you know that you can make them work overtime and drive them really hard and they're not going to quit because they have a family that's depending on them and they need to make that money and it's the only source of income that they have. Very, very easy to manipulate this sort of individual. So, for this not to happen to you, what can you do? How can you protect yourself? Let's talk about this a little bit. Regardless of your motivation, one of the biggest factors is going back to what I believe Liu Wei said. Is it Liu Wei or somebody else? About survival. Let me double check. Yeah, Liu Wei. So it is about survival. And one of the biggest factors for us to survive, especially if you live in a big city, is money. You need money for food, you need money to pay the rent, you need money to pay for your utilities, so on and so forth. So what happens is when you have only a single source of income, the only money that you receive is from your salary, from your job, right? Then that means without that source of money, you become very vulnerable. Right or wrong? Right or wrong, guys? If your only source of money is your job, then you are a very vulnerable person. You are a very vulnerable individual. This is a fact of life. This is not a judgment. This is just what it is. So, what can we do to make sure that we are not so vulnerable? So we need to, of course, diversify the way that we make money. So if you have a job, you have a salary, that's great, that's fantastic. But we also need to have other sources of income, right? So whether it is that you set up an online store and you're selling products passively or doing drop shipping, that's fine. If you are doing some sort of classes, maybe on the weekend or after school or whatever, you're doing some tutoring of some sort, that can also help. You have an additional source of income. If you provide consulting services, like whether it's sales or marketing or anything like that, that works out well. Ah, Lisa. Well, Lisa says if you buy real estate. So I agree with Lisa, but I do want to highlight something about real estate is that your real estate is not a source of income unless it is paid off. Your real estate, if you buy a house, if you buy an apartment, so on and so forth, that property is mostly a liability until you've paid it off. Okay. So if you have a house, an extra apartment, or an extra house that you own and you don't owe any money on, right? You just have to pay for maintenance. Then in that case, yeah, that would be another source of income. If you have renters in there and they're paying you, fantastic. You have another source of income. So that's really good. That's very, very good. And a lot of people just did it as a side business. Maybe not here, but a lot of people did it as a side business overseas where they do the whole Airbnb thing. So they would get like a small piece of real estate somewhere very touristic, like on a beach or any sort of very popular city. And then they would rent it out as a short-term rental, like an Airbnb, and use this for extra income. So anyway, all of that is to say, guys, it doesn't really matter what it is. We can talk about this in more detail during another live stream. But it is important that if you have only one source of income today, you are listening to this live stream and you only have money coming from your job, I would suggest for yourself, for your own security, I would suggest that you begin to explore alternative sources of income, different ways that you can make money, not like a full-time job, just something that you can do that can be pretty low effort and can still make some money for you. And get started on that, because having only one source of income puts you in a very vulnerable position. It makes you very easy to manipulate. Let's put it like that. So, hopefully, your motivation for finding additional sources of income is more security, income security, right? Excuse me. Yeah, I definitely think it's quite risky to be in that situation. So now we're going to go to the talking points. And so I've already done what I can from the top of my head when it comes to motivation. Um, Actually, let me break it down a little bit more. There is one part that I want to think about with you guys, and that is finding motivation. So how do you find motivation? If you are, or if you were in a place in your life where you don't feel motivated, where everything is just like a routine, it feels boring, you don't really need to do what you're doing, so you don't have some sort of motivation. How do you find motivation at that point? It's a very good question, I think. So for me, many years ago, I was in this sort of position where it's like my job is pretty good. I've saved a lot of money. I've made a lot of money. I don't have anything really to do. It just feels kind of boring and uneventful. And I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't feel like I'm learning. I don't feel like anything's happening. So little by little, you start to lose motivation. And it's very dangerous because losing motivation is a sure way to get to depression. And we do not want to get to depression, ladies and gentlemen. So if you feel yourself becoming slightly undermotivated, work on it. Work on it quickly so it doesn't become a bigger problem later. So what I ended up doing was I said, I have no good reason to do this, but I'm going to start a business. In hindsight, I feel like it was a really stupid idea, but the result is phenomenal. The result is phenomenal. Like, if someone were to ask me today, someone in the same position that I was in maybe 10 years ago, if they were to ask me today, hey, Comet, do you think it's a good idea for me to start a business? I would say, hell no. Definitely no. Don't do that. You are not in the right place to do that. But it's really ironic because, in fact, that is what I did. I had no reason, no motivation, didn't really care about anything. Everything is just going with the flow. And I was like, well, I'm so bored and I've saved money and there's nothing to do. Well, I guess I'll start a business. That was my motivation for starting my first business, guys. I was bored. I was bored and I was wasting my money on stupid things. Like, I spent thousands of dollars on peripherals for my computer, for like keyboards and mouses and stuff like that and games, because I didn't know what to do anymore. I didn't know what to do with my money. I didn't know what to do with anything. So I was like, this is so dumb and so boring. And like once I got over that hump, I said, okay, well, I guess I'll start a business because otherwise I'm not going to be able to develop or do anything. And that's what I did, actually. So I ended up starting my first business. And it was one of the hardest things I could have possibly done, which is good. It's actually quite good because it has motivated me. It motivated me a lot. I started my first business. It was super hard. I was really broke. I was a poor business owner after like 5 or 6 months because I spent so much money on the business. And I was a poor business owner for a while. But I honestly speaking, I learned so much from that experience that frankly speaking, the experience was priceless, literally priceless. I cannot put a number on how valuable it was. I met so many people, so many interesting people, so many other business owners, entrepreneurs, and traders, dealers, whatever. I've met so many different people because I decided to start my own business that it actually helped me create a lot of success. So I would definitely say, yeah, like that drive of like, okay, I'm bored. I'm gonna start a business. It was worth it. It was actually worth it. So I'm not mad at myself for it. Would I recommend it to other people? Probably not, unless you feel very secure with where you are and you're willing to take that risk and lose everything. Yeah, then okay, then you can do it. But otherwise, it might not be the best thing because the truth is not many people say this, but the vast majority of businesses fail. I think you guys know this, right? I would say like maybe 97% or something like that of the businesses are going to fail within the first year. A good another 93 or so percent fail within 3 years. So I would definitely say have the expectation of failing, but do understand that failure it's literally a stepping stone to success. So if you need to fail to succeed, then fail. Do what you got to do. Oh, that's okay, Carmel. I understand, buddy. Excuse me. Good morning, Iris. Excuse me. All right. I think I'm about set. The only other part that I want to add, which was a reminder for me, if nothing else, it was a reminder for me from Stephen Bartlett. So Stephen Bartlett, he's like a also multimillionaire serial entrepreneur from the UK. And I was watching one of his interviews recently, and one of the things that he said really reminded me of myself. And that was sometimes we don't have the motivation to do things, whether that is to start learning or reading books, start doing exercise, or do meditation, whatever, right? Or eat better food, right? Most of us don't have the motivation to do the right thing that we know is good for us. And the reason that we don't have that motivation is because we haven't felt enough pain. So take that in, guys. The reason most of us are not motivated to do what is best for ourselves is because we have not felt enough pain. There isn't enough pain to motivate you to do it. Listen, I don't think that this applies to everyone, but for a lot of us, this is very true. We don't do something until it is painful. I'll give you an example. I had moderate back pain for years, years. I'm telling you, I had moderate back pain. It wasn't super serious. It was like really like, oh, a little sting here, a little pain here, but it wasn't serious enough for me to like do anything about it. I was like, oh, well, that's uncomfortable, whatever. Over time, the pain became worse and worse. And it got to a point where I couldn't really sleep well. You know, I had so much pain when I slept that I woke up in the middle of the night all the time. So I was really tired and felt stressed. Even that didn't motivate me, right? I was like, it's not a big deal. Finally, it got to the point where I couldn't walk, where it hurt. If I tried to take steps, it would hurt me to walk. Then I was motivated. Then I was motivated. At that moment, losing the ability to walk and being in pain, at that moment, I was motivated. I said, this is unacceptable. I need to do something. So, what did I do? I started doing exercise every day. I started doing weight training. I started doing calisthenics. I started doing everything I can to strengthen my back muscles. By the way, I did go to the hospital. I went to modern medicine hospital. I went to traditional Chinese medicine hospital. I did all types of things. None of them actually helped me long term. They were all short term alleviation, like relief of pain. And then like the last thing they wanted to do was do a surgery that would put a sort of capsule that releases painkillers for me in my back. And I said, no, 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 no. That's stupid. That's dumb. I don't think that's necessary. I'm way too young to be having these problems. So then, yes, that pain motivated me to do weight training, exercise, do calisthenics. And I would say maybe within 3 weeks, the pain was gone, like mostly gone. At this point, it's almost all gone as long as I do regular exercise. But you know what's really stupid? It's really stupid because I know it and you know it. We all know this. As humans, as people, we need to do regular exercise. The regular exercise is going to help us feel better. We're going to feel better. We're going to feel stronger. We're going to be more well driven. We're not going to get tired easily. Exercise is super important. We all know this, but we still don't do it. And that's why I say, like Stephen Bartlett is right. For a lot of people, even though you know what the right thing to do is, you don't do it until you feel enough pain that motivates you to do it. And unfortunately, that's also been true for me. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Liu Wei. Liu Wei's on point. Liu Wei says it's because you're in your comfort zone. Yes, when you're in your comfort zone, you tend to neglect a lot of other things that you should be doing to improve yourself. Take care, Lisa. All right, so let's get to our talking points. So I didn't know I was going to spend that much time discussing this off the top of my head. So once again, guys, for those of you who are just coming in, we're talking about finding motivation. And at this moment, we are going into our talking points. We've already discussed it, a little bit of the back and forth, and we're just going to go through the talking points and see what we agree with, what we disagree with. My name is Comet. This is the Comet live stream. We're talking about personal development, business development, and all of the things that make you a better human. So let's carry on. Our first talking point is defining motivation. And it goes like this. What is motivation? And why is it the driving force behind success? So, discuss the two main types, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So, earlier on, we discussed this. There are at least two main types of motivation. One is intrinsic or internal, that is within you, something that drives you from the inside. And the other is extrinsic, something that is external, an outside factor. Thank you very much, Shaw. So basically, an extrinsic motivator would be money, right? An intrinsic motivation is fear, fear of being broke. So there's a there's a bit of an overlap if you think about it between those two. But yeah, we've already discussed that, the two main types, and we understand that it is a powerful force, depending on where it's coming from, but it is a powerful force. So we can go to our talking point number two. Number two, personal triggers for motivation. Everyone has different triggers. Explore how experiences Goals and personal values shape what motivates you. Ooh, no one's going to find the meaning of life, Ivy. We're just going to have to keep dreaming about it. So let's go on the second talking point. I love this. So, just like I gave the example, how pain motivates some of us, a lot of us, to make changes, necessary changes and improvements. Pain is part of that. For some people, it can be something else or a mix, right? For some people, seeing others do something motivates them to do it as well, right? So in that perspective, we can look at it as inspiration. You can look at another person do something and you can be inspired or motivated to do the same, right? So that's really good. That's a very positive form of motivation. Um, Another type of trigger is jealousy or envy. When you see maybe someone you don't like, or someone that you disagree with, or that you are at odds with, and you see them doing something and they are successful at that thing, or they're doing something that really goes against your own personal values, whatever it is, that can also motivate you. It's like, I'm not going to let this guy take all the glory. I'm not going to let him take all the fun. I have to get in there too. So, in fact, jealousy and envy can be a motivator. It can be a big motivator. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. I think we should have more positive motivation in our life. But as per the discussion, this is, in fact, one of the motivators, I would say, a pretty big motivator. The other one that we covered was goals, of course. Your goals, your personal goals that you're trying to achieve, whether they are short term or long term, whether they are affecting the people in your life, your loved ones, your family members, or just yourself, your personal goals can be huge motivators in terms of what it is you do. Whether it is you keep working that job that you may potentially hate, or trying to start a business and trying to create success in that way, whatever it is. Mhm. Hello, is that pomegranate? Is that my buddy Shito Shitia? I always forget how to address you. Let's see. Listening to your live streaming gives me motivation. I'm on the way to work. It's kind of enjoyment. Oh, thank you, dude. I love to read that. I love to hear that. When we started, I said I saw some people that were on from last week, and I said, it actually makes me really happy to see the same people show up day after day, because that motivates me. In the topic of motivation, that motivates me to keep doing this, because I know that it is something that you guys value or enjoy or whatever. It does something for you. So I'm happy to actually do this stream. So that's good. I appreciate you guys. So let's see. Number 3, let's go to our third talking point, because we're narrowing it down. The power of purpose. Oh my goodness. I think we're gonna go into the realm of what Ivy was talking about. Good morning. Is it Ping or is it Guo Yu La? Good morning, Guo Yi. I guess that's Guo Yi. So I think we're going to go into the realm of what Ivy was talking about, the meaning of life. Just so you know, guys, unfortunately, listening to this live stream, you are not going to find the meaning of life. I don't think so. But hopefully, it helps you find meaning in other things. Yeah. So, number 3, the power of purpose. How having a clear why behind your actions gives you the fuel to stay motivated, even in tough times. I like this one. I really like this one. Yes, I love this one. This is something that a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, we say this a lot. And I like that this makes it more clear. It gives clarification. I'm sure you've heard this. They're like, okay, do something that you love and you won't work a day in your life. That's nonsense. That's not true. It's still hard work. But here's the thing. When you do something that you love to do or that motivates you, that drives you, it makes it easier for you to survive the tough times. That's what it actually does. When you start a business or you work in a job that does something for you internally, okay? It does something for you that makes you feel satisfied, that makes you feel like you have meaning and purpose, right? When things get difficult, when times get really, really hard and you feel exhausted and overworked, this is going to be the deciding factor of whether you keep going and you push through or if you quit. Because if you are doing something that you don't enjoy at all, if you are doing something that doesn't give you any motivation or any drive, once it gets really hard, once the times get really tough, you have nothing left but to quit. You won't have a purpose to keep going. It won't be worth it. You're like, why should I keep doing this when I can just do something else that's going to make me more money anyway? You don't have that motivation. So this is essentially what it is. Make sure you have a clear why. If you're going to be taking up a new job, if you're going to start a business, if you're trying to get a promotion, whatever it is you are trying to do that you think is going to be a life-changing decision or a very important decision in your life, which you have to continuously work on, ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to work at this company? Why do I want to start this business? Why do I want this promotion? What, in fact, is the reason? Very clear, very short, maybe one sentence, very concise. Liu Wei says, for survival still. Yeah, I understand that. Right? A lot of us would just work and try to make as much money as we can just to survive. But remember, if it's just to survive, there's 100, if not 1,000 other things you can do if all you need to do is survive. You're not forced to stay in the same company or doing the same business if it's just to survive. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like you definitely want to put yourself in a position that you are doing something that gives you self-satisfaction so that you are still motivated to do it day after day. When it's easy, when it's hard, when it's okay, same. All right, let's carry on. Number 5, building momentum. Before I say number 5, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining in this live stream and listening. I highly appreciate it because there's nothing worse than sitting there having to talk to yourself. So I do appreciate you guys in the stream if you're able to get something from this. It makes my day more enjoyable when I got to do everything else that I have to do. So please remember, you can add me directly on WeChat. It's the same username as our live stream. So it is Comet Live, KOMITLIVE. So you can add me directly there. My name is Comet again. I talk about personal development and business development, serial entrepreneur, international, all day, every day. Let's keep going. So number 5, building momentum. And for those who don't actually know what momentum means, let me break it down for you. So the word is momentum. If you could write that in the chat for me, that'd be fantastic. Momentum. So momentum is, think about when a ball is going downhill. When it first starts going down the hill, it starts going down a little slowly. Then it gets a little faster. Then it starts bouncing and going faster and faster and faster. So this is kind of the idea behind momentum. The same thing when you're on a train, right? The train starts moving very slowly, then it starts to pick up speed, and then it's going incredibly fast, right? So momentum is essentially that, going from a non-moving state, gaining some speed, going faster, and then getting to whatever your speed limit or target is. What is the no momentum? Momentum. 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 Ah, thank you very much, bro. Not momental. Yes, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Momentum. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There you go. That's fantastic. Right. So that's essentially what it is. I've already defined it for you. So let's get into the talking point. Motivation is often about momentum. So basically, it's explaining that sometimes your motivation can be very, very small. You have a very small reason to do something. But that little bit of motivation can grow and snowball into a huge thing, a huge drive, a huge motivation. So, like for me, I had very little motivation to start doing exercise and weight training because all I had was like a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort. But as it got worse, my momentum and my drive to work out became bigger and bigger. But also, I'll tell you what, guys, I'll tell you what. Not only the pain, okay? Not only the pain, but after I started doing weight training, I'm still very like skinny. I'm still super slim now, whatever. But imagine I was skinnier before. When I started doing the exercises and I realized how much better I felt, like I already felt like I had more energy, that was good. But after like a month or 2 months, and I started seeing the changes in my body, shit. Whoa. Like I started to get muscles where I didn't have muscles before. Man, okay. At that point, like the motivation was peak. It's like, all right, not only are you relieving your body of pain, not only are you more fit and feel better, have more energy, you are healthier, but you look fucking good. Sorry I put it that way, but damn, I loved it. That was my best motivator. I was like, I feel good and I look good. I'm going to keep doing weight exercises and weight training. It is great. I love it. So I would definitely agree that momentum is something that will build over time for sure. All right, cool. And the next part of it is how do you create a positive feedback loop of action and reward? All right, I like that. So we understand what a loop is, right? It sort of goes in a circle. So if you want to create a positive feedback loop, my suggestion is creating small goals. That is my suggestion. So, for example, whether you are talking about physical fitness or you are talking about language learning or whatever it is, if you create small goals, it makes it much easier to to have a positive feedback loop. So, for example, this week, my goal is to be able to lift 20 kg, for example, right? I can only lift 15 kg, but my goal for the end of the week is 20. And so day after day, I work on getting stronger and putting in 1 kg more, 1 kg more till I get the end of the week. I hit that 20 kg. All right, I'm happy I got the 20 kg. Then the next week, again, we're going to go for 22, 23, 24, 25. Ultimately, what is my ultimate goal? My ultimate goal, I want to say maybe 100. Maybe 100 kg. I don't need to do more than 100 kg. There's no reason for it. But that's not the important part. The important part is not necessarily the big goal. The important part is the small one. Because the small one is what's going to motivate you to keep going. Every time you're able to lift a little bit more weight, you feel better and better and better, and you feel more and more motivated, and your body gets stronger, and you look better, you feel better. Everything is awesome as long as you have small, achievable goals that you can do day to day or week to week. I think when it comes to weight training, probably week to week is your best bet. Hmm. Ah, thank you for that, Iris. So Iris says, that's how I got my motivation to exercise, by watching some muscular, good shaped people's pictures. Okay, so I do want to point out that is a form of extrinsic motivation, something that is external, something that is outside of yourself that you can see is what motivates you to do that same thing, right? So this is a reinforcement of that external motivation. Very nice. Yes. This is one thing I would add. Thank you, Ivy, for saying that. Ivy says again, our goal is always to transcend ourselves. Very good. And to reinforce what I always say, do not compare yourselves to others. You can look at others as a guideline or as a sign of what is possible. You can look at others, but do not compare your achievement to others. You need to compare yourself to yourself from yesterday. Make yourself a little bit better each and every day. By the end of the year, your growth is going to compound. You will not recognize the person you are if you're able to make yourself 1% better each and every day. So don't waste your time comparing yourselves to other people. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know what resources they have. You don't know what training, mentors they have. You don't have any idea what circumstances they have. So focus on yourself and being better than yourself each and every day. Keep that in mind, no matter what it is. No matter what it is you're trying to do. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit that follow button. Hit the little follow button. If you haven't hit the follow button, sub. And if you want to get yourself a VIP badge, hit the gold button after that. Again, my name is Comet, talking about personal development, business development, all the good things that make us a better human. And we are talking about finding motivation and understanding what motivation is. It is 8:41 right now, so I understand that a lot of people who are viewing from the east side, you guys are going to be starting work in about 20 minutes, and we have been in our stream for about an hour, so we're going to go through one more talking point, and we will be done after that. If you want to add me directly, you can add me. My WeChat name is the same as the name of the channel. KOMITLIVE, Comet Live. So if you search that on WeChat, you can add me directly. Send me any suggestions for topics, questions that you might have that can be answered during the live stream. You can send it there and I will engage with you. I answer all of my messages. You guys already know. Yes. So Bless says that a phobia can be a type of motivation. 100%. That's one of the things that we said very early on, is that fear is a huge motivator for a lot of people. So different types of motivation it can be fear, it can be pain, it can be love, it can be inspiration. There's a lot of different types of motivation. And it's just a matter of identifying for yourself what motivates you. If you can understand what motivates you the most, then I think that is a sure way to understand yourself and make yourself a better person. Because then you can say, why is it that I am not motivated to learn this language like I want to? Or why is it that I'm not motivated to hit my fitness goals like I want to? Why am I not motivated to do better at work or get that promotion or whatever it is that you're trying to do? Understanding your own internal and personal motivation is very important. So do try to do that. Maybe next time I can create some practical exercises for you to give you guys a sort of guideline to be able to find out what your personal motivation is. I won't be able to do that right now, but typically I would suggest this. On a daily basis, you keep a notebook or a diary where you write at least one significant positive thing or one significant negative thing that happened throughout the day. What happened? Why did what did it make you feel, and why did you feel that way? If you do this every day, you will definitely understand yourself so much better, and you are able to sort of like hack or manipulate your brain to have you do the things that you want to do and accomplish what you want to accomplish. But that starts with understanding yourself. We all like to say like, oh, I understand myself, I spend all day with me, I know myself so well. That's not true. That is not true. We understand very well the things that we observe. So it's much easier for us to understand other people than it is to understand ourselves, because we don't observe ourselves as much as we should. Just like when it comes for people who are learning how to sing. A person who sings really badly, like me, I gotta stop saying that. But when a person sings badly or doesn't sing very well, they usually don't know it because they are singing and it's coming from within their body. But the people outside of their body, they know it. They know it very well. They're like, dude, you sing really bad. Because they are outside of the body. They are observing the person, right? So this is just an example of that. You don't know yourself as well as you think you do. So you should document those things so you can understand yourself better. And when you can understand yourself better, you will know how to motivate yourself to do the things that you want to do, to accomplish whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. Yes, just like a diary, Nick. Exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So we're going to kick it right there. We're going to drop it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Hit the follow button if you haven't hit the follow button. I hope you guys have a very good day. Have a happy Saturday. I know you guys, it's the last day of work that you guys have to do before the holiday. So I hope you guys have a really good holiday as well. I should be back on Tuesday morning. And if not, I will be back on Wednesday morning, Asia, Asia time. US, like what Eastern time? It would be the opposite. So it would be 8 p.m. US Eastern time. Yeah, so thank you for being here. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys are able to find and understand yourselves better and your own motivations and are able to develop more. Set an alarm, set a calendar, okay? Mark it at least for Wednesday morning. I want to see you guys here on Wednesday morning. All right, Wednesday morning, set it for like at least 8 a.m. I'll probably be on at 7:40, 7:30, but set it up for at least 8. And I hope to see you guys come back and we can talk more about motivation and other subjects that will affect us personally. And we can get into business as well, as we usually do. Have a good day. Stay amazing. Stay beautiful. Bye-bye. And thank you, Silent Stranger on YouTube, all one or two of you that were here. Stay beautiful. Thank you for hanging out. See you next time. Bye-bye.